How does this stuff change the exposure in your photos? Let's talk about diffusion on today's episode of
Ask David Bergman.
Hey there, welcome back. Here I am, as always, answering your photography questions on Adorama TV. If you've got a question, you know what to do. You just go to askdavidbergman.com and submit that form on the site. I just might pick your question to answer here on a future show. Quick reminder about my Shoot from the Pit live concert photography workshops. I'm running them at stadiums around North America this year, and I'll be announcing more dates in Europe, New Zealand, and Australia really soon. A bunch of cities are already sold out, so go to shootfromthepit.com right after you watch this video to get more info. Also, one more bit of shameless self-promotion, but I need your help. I'm honored to be nominated for the second year in a row as favorite tour photographer at the iHeartRadio Music Awards. It's a fan-voted award, so I need your help to win. If you like the work I've done over the last 30-something years for Sports Illustrated, Bon Jovi, Luke Combs, or all of the educational videos I've done right here thanks to Adorama, then go to iheart.com/awards and cast your vote. You can add more votes every single day between now and March 20th, 2023, and I'll put the link down below as a reminder. There's so much talent in this category, and win or lose, honestly, I'm thrilled to see tour photography get mainstream attention from a major awards show. Thanks for your support. I really do appreciate it. All right, today's question was sent in by Jimmy E, and he wants to know, do the diffusion layers in a softbox reduce the light output? Thanks, Jimmy, for sending that in. The answer is yes. Thanks, everyone. I'll see you next time. No, but seriously, spoiler alert, adding diffusion to a softbox definitely does take some light away. But let's figure out how much light you actually lose. Now, I did a video recently about softbox shapes and sizes, and I'll put that link to the video down below. I was trying out the Westcott lights that day, and I'm happy to say I went all in. If you follow me on Instagram, you may have seen my story a few weeks back with a whole bunch of new boxes of lights and modifiers. I spent a lot of money, but it's kind of amazing what you get for the price with all of this stuff. Now, anyway, here I've got the FJ400. It's the 400 watt second strobe and the rapid box switch Octa-M. All the switch means is that instead of buying a modifier pre-made with a mount for a particular type of light, you can remove the mount and then put a new one on. If you ever switch to a different brand of lights, you don't have to buy all new modifiers, which is good because I now have a lot of them. The Westcott lights have a standard Bowens mount, so that's the switch adapter I got for all of my new modifiers. Now, if you're new to softboxes, what they're used for is to soften the light. Makes sense, right? Light gets softer as the relative size of the light gets bigger. Now, a bare strobe is a pretty small light source, so it's going to cast hard shadows on your subject. So by putting the light inside of a big device like this, we can make the light bigger, which softens it up. Now, most photographers do prefer soft light when photographing people because it tends to be more flattering on your subject. But as with anything creative, there's no right or wrong way to do this. There are plenty of ways to make amazing portraits with hard light if you're super careful. It actually helps if your subject has perfect skin and great makeup on, but I've also been known to do portraits of rock bands with a bunch of small lights because it can give you a cool, grungy look. Now, if soft light is what you're after, then softboxes are a great way to go. The Octa-M comes with 2 layers of removable diffusion right here. 2 different layers. The way diffusion works is that the small light source hits this big white piece of material and spreads out all across it. So that's how it becomes a bigger light source and gets softer. Now, you absolutely do lose some light when you use diffusion. If you think about light as little particles called photons, there are millions of those suckers that travel out really fast, the speed of light, when the flash fires. If you're looking at the light from the subject's perspective without any diffusion, the majority of those photons are going to come straight at you. The FJ400 has a protruding bulb on it, so some of that light is going to go out the sides. Now, that's good for the softbox to help fill it up, but most of that light is still coming straight at you. Now, when you put diffusion in front, the light is going to spread out and go in more directions, so less of it is going to hit you. Also, while the diffusion material is white, of course, it's not transparent, it's translucent. So some light is going to be absorbed. That's just physics, there's no way around it, but it's kind of required to make the light bigger. Now, why 2 layers? Well, this softbox works with the light facing out instead of facing in. So it's going to be harsh and specular without any diffusion. Some softboxes actually do have the light facing into the box, which softens it up first because it spreads the light all around the inside before even hitting the diffusion. I personally prefer it this way because it gives me the option if I want a harder light. I can just shoot without the diffusion and still get some light that bounces around with that silver interior. That's why you've got 2 layers of diffusion though. The first inner diffusion spreads the light out part way, and then the front one does the rest. Now earlier I shot pictures of the softbox so you can see the difference. Here it is with no diffusion. There's an uneven hot spot in the middle with some light coming off that silver interior around the sides. Now this one is just with the first layer of diffusion. It does a pretty good job of spreading that light out, but not all the way to the edges of the softbox. And then adding the front layer, it's a nice even soft light from edge to edge. And just because I know someone is going to ask, here's a shot of just the front diffusion without the inside one. You can see how it's kind of uneven. It would definitely work at a pinch if you needed to, but I'd rather use both layers for a smooth, even light. So how much light do you actually lose? Well, let's find out. I'm here in the studio. You may have noticed I have a light meter taped to the wall. This is not a completely scientific test. I'm going to do what I can, just sort of keep some consistency, but it's not going to be 100%. It's going to be as close as I can get it. If you're not familiar with light meters, I did a video, an Ask David Bergman video years ago about light meters. You can watch that. But basically, what I'm going to do, what you do with a light meter is you set 2 of the 3 parameters, and then it'll tell you the third one. It'll tell you how much light is coming out of that flash. You pop the button once, then you hit the flash, and it'll tell you. So parameters I've got set here, I'm at 100 ISO, 2/50th of a second sync speed, and I just want to see what my aperture is, right? So it doesn't really matter what the flash power is. I'm just looking at it relative to once I put the diffusion on. So let's start with no diffusion. I'm just going to get this angled sort of straight at this light meter. Again, this is not completely scientific, aimed right about there. All right, and let's pop the button here, and now it's waiting for a flash. I'm going to hit the button on the FJ400, boom. And let's look at the aperture, and it's telling me 5.6 and 6/10. This thing actually measures in tenths of a stop, so that's pretty good to have that that minute reading. So 5.6.6 is what I'm getting. So that's good, right? So now we're going to put on diffusion. Let's start with the first one. This inside diffusion just snaps in here. I'm going to try not to move this light so we keep it pretty consistent. It just snaps around the inside. It's about 6 or 9 inches inside of the softbox because that outer one is going to go right on the outside. And once I get these all snapped in, and it's going to pull nice and taut once you get them all in there. It takes a minute or so. You just got to be a little gentle with these straps, little straps with snaps on them. And once I get this in, I got 2 more, and snap, and 1 more. And good. All right, and you can see I've got that 1 layer in there. Now let's get it back where I had it, roughly right about there. And remember we were 5.6 and 6/10. Let's pop it again and see what we get now with the 1 layer of diffusion. Boom. And we've got 5.6 and 4/10. So we lost a whopping 2/10 of a stop. Doesn't sound like a lot, and it's really not a lot, but that tells you what we lost, 2/10 of a stop, maybe almost 1/3 of a stop, not under 1/3 of a stop. But that's what we lose. All right, now let's do it with 1 more layer. We'll put on the outside layer. This one's a lot quicker because it's just Velcro. I like to just stick the edges, the corners. There's 8 of them because it's an Octa. And we put those on really easy. I like to sort of go around and make sure it's all stuck all the way around so no light is sort of sneaking out, right? Ta-da, now we have 2 layers. Let's get it right back in position. And all right, remember we were 5.6.6, 5.6.4, and now with 2 layers of diffusion, we are at, 4.567. 4.7. So 4.7, that's, what is that? So that's almost a stop under where we were without the diffusion, right? So the first layer, we only lost 0.2, and then with 2 layers, we lost nearly a stop, 9/10 of a stop. So roughly in your mind, you could think 1/3 of a stop with 1 layer and a full stop with 2 layers, right? It's a little less than that, but if you're deciding on whether to go double diffusion or not, that's what you're gonna lose. That's what you're gonna lose. So there you have it. Now that's just with this particular softbox. You know what that's gonna cost you and you know what you're gonna give up. Personally, it's not a huge deal for me considering the trade-off. Keep in mind that every light and softbox combination is going to be a little bit different. Companies like Westcott put a lot of work into making their modifiers efficient, so you lose the least amount of light possible. Also, of course, if you added more diffusion, like maybe if you put a big silk in front of the softbox, it's going to give you a bigger, softer light, but you're going to lose even more of those precious photons, right? The technical part of photography is always a give and take, and you need to decide what's most important to you and what you can give up. Jimmy, I hope that helps answer your question. What do you all think? Do you always use diffusion on your softboxes? Which lights and modifiers are you using, and is there a noticeable light loss? Let me know down in the comments. Also, do me a favor, like, subscribe, click the bell icon so you get notifications. Check out my Shoot From The Pit workshops at shootfromthepit.com, and I appreciate you voting for me as favorite tour photographer every day through March 20th. Thanks for watching. I'll be back next time with another question right here on Ask David Bergman.